Coming up on Locked On NBA Daily. The NBA Draft Combine is over and the race for number one might be more mysterious than ever. Who really belongs at the top? Then, could the Clippers use the number 5 pick to move on from Kawhi Leonard or double down around him? And Myles Turner calls out Giannis on his way out the door. Locked On NBA Daily starts now.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. I'm Wes Goldberg. That's Moore and Haize. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. We have a ton to get to today. Giannis, Kawhi, Jaylen Brown, all of them are in the news, and the playoffs resume tonight. But let's start with the NBA Draft Combine that wrapped up this week, and specifically, I want to start at the very top of this draft. Most people believe that there's a clear top 4, and all 4 of those guys, AJ Dybantsa, Darryn Peterson, Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson, they can go in any order, and they all participated in the Draft Combine. The No Ceilings guys over at Locked On NBA Draft, who do a terrific job covering the draft all season long, they talked about who among that group helped themselves the most over this week in Chicago.
What were your initial takeaways with seeing these guys in person through shooting drills, testing, measurements, all that good stuff?
I think for me, it was the hype is real. All of them physical specimens, and I also think they all stood out and popped in a big way when it came to there's a reason why we're considering them the big 4, and
not a single one of them dominated throughout. AJ looked fine. He dominated the vertical stuff.
Vertical, yeah.
Cam Boozer, the shot looked really good. His lateral stuff ended up testing a lot better than it looked. Darryn, his testing was kind of mediocre across the board. I was hoping he'd be a little quicker, a little more explosive. He wasn't, but then you see him shoot, and it's oh my God, that thing was created in a lab. That looks gorgeous. Caleb Wilson measured a little, I think wingspan may have measured a little shorter. I know the shooting results weren't outlandish, but I thought the form looked really good.
Guys, this draft is really interesting because you could talk to a whole lot of people and they would have somebody else number 1 on their board out of this top 4. Haize, I know you are watching this draft very closely because your Chicago Bulls obviously have the 4th pick, but let's say you had the number 1 pick. Who would you be taking at number 1?
I mean, AJ Dybantsa is still my favorite player out of the top 4. I think that he has not only just the skill set on the court, but I think you also have to look at the mindset of a player that could he actually be the leader of your team? I think he does have that. Darryn Peterson is an amazing, talented player, but he's a bit of a head case and not in the good way, right? So I lean AJ Dybantsa if we're talking about who I take number 1 overall. Of course, depending on which team I'm drafting for, maybe that could change. You go Peterson, but AJ is the clear-cut number 1 for me so far.
I think it's Cam Boozer. Graded out even better at the Combine. He finished 74th percentile for a big in B-Spark, which is a composite score of all the things that they test them for athleticism-wise. He posted a better lane agility than a lot of people were expecting here. His max vert leap, a lot of those things for Boozer came out through. That was my concern, was the athleticism. Now, graded out really well. This should honestly now be, we should be talking about this at the top as a 2-player composite. It's either Boozer or Dybantsa. You want to take Dybantsa for the athleticism and the scoring component, I think that's totally fine. He could be an absolutely monster forward, but Darryn Peterson's out. He's just out. It's fine. He's probably gonna be a really good player. He's probably gonna score a lot of points. The athleticism stuff on the combine testing was really concerning. So as an example of this, he scored 55th percentile for a wing in B-Spark. He also, he jumps up to 73rd if you put him into a combo guards role. But even that is not spectacular, for the role that he's being asked to play and how size gets hunted. The agility wasn't great. It is AJ and Cam. If you want the pure force offensively, it's Dybantsa. If you want a guy that makes everybody better and kind of does all those things, it's Cam Boozer. Everybody else can get into that. I think it's a much bit more interesting argument. Caleb Wilson, Fleming, or Peterson. I think Peterson should be in that lower tier now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of going the other way. I kind of feel like the more we get away from the college basketball season, the more I'm kind of getting back into the Darryn Peterson stuff because I didn't love the way that the season ended for him with all that weird stuff. And then we hear it's the creatine that gave me the cramps and all these things. All that stuff those are definitely some red flags. But if I'm a front office and I talk to him, and if I can feel pretty good about all that mindset stuff coming away, I don't think there's any question who the most talented player is in this draft. It is absolutely Darryn Peterson. I mean,
I don't agree.
Just
and the thing is too, like, and this.
Go ahead, Haize.
And I think that's also where, like, combine measurements, they're great and they give us something to talk about, but it's the difference between being able to do stuff in the combine and doing it actually in live in game. And that's why, like, no, I get what we're talking about. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's the difference between is that, listen, none of the major mocks have Boozer going second at this point. They just don't. Like, and I think when you look at Boozer too, like, he's great. He's an amazing talent. And listen, if he falls to my Chicago Bulls, I'm going to be super happy to get that done. But, like, there's still a lot of, when you look at Cam Boozer's offense and you look at, for example, Michael Beasley's offense, there's a lot of the similarities there. And that's one of the bigger concerns about, is he going to be able to score in the same way? Now, he affects the game a lot different ways than Beasley did, which means he's still going to be a good NBA player. But the defensive concerns, all that other stuff is still definitely there for Cam Boozer.
I mean,
Beasley
we can't talk about defensive concerns when we're talking about a little bitty guard. We just can't do it. Like, he's 6'4" with a very light frame. Peterson's going to get hunted. Second, like, here's the thing. Peterson to me is like such a prototypical, like, the scouts, like, oh, look at his handle and look how tight it is and look at this move that he made. And then it's like you get to the league and it's like, oh, everybody's good. That's right. Do you make your teammates better? Like, Wes, you should be. I am shocked that you were on this. The whole Heat thing is, you don't actually have to be any sort of, like, we're never going to draft a really good guy. We're going to find all these guys that know how to play basketball. Cam Boozer knows how to play ball with other guys, knows how to make him better. Like, Darryn Peterson is just going to be, like, the Kyrie comp, I think, is really sound here. And if you think Kyrie Irving is an amazing player and one of the greatest, and look at blah, 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 that's fine. If you take Kyrie outside of 2016, 3 games at the end, you're kind of like,
So, first of all, I don't work for the Miami Heat. I just want to make that clear. I have my own opinions separate of what the Miami Heat think of. And all I know is that it's not just like the nerdy handle stuff and all that. I watched Darryn Peterson play AJ Dybantsa faced head-to-head multiple times. And every single time, Peterson won. Peterson was the better of the two on the court. That matters to me.
why?
Because he looked great. I watched a basketball game and Darryn Peterson was clearly a basketball game where there was 2 guys at the top of this draft.
Did they play each other?
Huh?
Were they matched up on each other?
A lot of times, yeah. But one guy, and I'm not saying like necessarily like one-on-one, but I'm just saying one guy was clearly better than the other guy.
Did they do the same things?
One guy was a better player than the other guy.
That's not what I'm asking. Do they do that? Like, why are you like that? Doesn't make any sense.
In those games when they were they're each of their team's leading scorers.
But like, what? Why do those games matter than the others?
Because they went head to head, and I just telling you, I get to see both of the top 2 guys on the court at the same time. That's just a comparison.
This is crazier than I saw the guy match up with a chair in a workout. Like that is a dumber process than I saw a guy work out versus nobody in a gym.
Wait, you're saying that watching an actual basketball game is worse than watching somebody with it? Matt, you're too caught up in trying to make your point here,
Matt,
brother.
I'm watching the games is my point. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
and I liked what I saw from Darryn Peterson.
Wes, I don't mind if you say I watched the games. That's great. But being like, oh, but I saw this 20 minutes that they were actually in a competitive environment against one another, and this is why. Get out of here! What are you talking about? Another thing I would tell you
is, you've made this argument about NBA players all the time. You make this argument once a week.
Look at my only point here is if you're trying to draft somebody, look at the entire thing. The other thing here, Wes, I would ask is, look at the history. If you really want to get into it, look at the history of Kansas guys. Look at the history of Kansas wings.
No, that's fair. That's tough, especially with the current head coach there. But look, I think the point that you made earlier about the Boozer versus Dybantsa thing, I think can apply to Peterson as well. And if we want to put Caleb Wilson in there, I think that's fine. I kind of feel like it's a matter of taste at the top of this draft. Like if you need a Boozer, if you need a Dybantsa, if you need a Peterson, I think you can kind of go in any of those directions.
I mean, I agree it's a matter of taste. You're just choosing McDonald's from like a rest stop in Stuckey, Nebraska.
Wait, which one is which? I like McDonald's.
Okay, it's bad for you.
Who cares? Tastes good.
By the way, I just want to say, I'm not saying that like I want to be clear on this because you guys reacted that way. I'm not saying that like actually watching a workout is better than watching games because the point was like I think the workout stuff is dumb because it's just like you should watch the games. You just shouldn't be like, well, when I saw them go head to head, because this is the same nonsense we do with MVP. which is completely just absolutely stupid. Like, watch the entirety of how they play across games, across matchups. You're not unless you told me I got to draft one guy to play with their college team against the other guy's college team across 82 games.
Man, you're just not consistent in how you use the eye test versus stats. You're just not consistent in how you do it.
That's all I'm saying I'm not claiming to be a draft expert and watching a ton of minutes on these guys.
Me neither.
The little bit that I've seen of all four of these guys, I came away from the Darryn Peterson experience more impressed than any of the other experiences. That's all.
I also not a draft guy, which is why I'm not going to be like, I was sitting down and I happened to have 20 minutes. And so I was watching this game and like Cam Boozer was like he had such a great game. He's clearly the best player in this draft. That would be an idiotic argument.
We have a lot more time to carve into the NBA draft, and I actually have some homework lined up.
I can't believe you're
after
agreeing
this.
with him here, Haize.
That the eye test matters is all.
The eye test matters, yeah.
No, I agree.
Guys,
I'm not saying the eye test doesn't matter. Why are you guys acting like I'm not saying that? If you want to do this, watch all of the games.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
That's fine. And you do that. And if you watch all the games, I would even go so far as to say this, as somebody who does watch probably a good 80 college games a year if before the tournament, is that Darryn Peterson, even if you look at the way that he attacks, like I get the comps to like Kyrie and stuff, he's more Anthony Edwards to me on the basketball court than anything else. So like even in watching that, like Darryn Peterson deserves to be the one of the top 2 picks in this draft.
That's a totally valid argument. I think that's a totally valid argument, backed up by a good reasoning and a good source of information, as opposed to whatever Wes just vomited onto this show.
After the top 4, the Clippers ended up getting the 5th pick in the draft. Some people think that there's a drop-off at that point. There also could be some impact on Kawhi's future now that the Clippers ended up getting that 5th pick. We're going to talk about all of that next here on Locked On NBA Daily. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like playoff basketball live. The intensity, the crowd, the rivalries. It's a completely different experience when you're in the building. The NBA playoffs are where unforgettable moments happen, and being there in person just hits different. Game Time makes it incredibly easy to find tickets, even for those hard-to-get playoff games. It's just a few taps, and with Game Time Guarantee, you know you're getting 100% authentic tickets on time at the best price. Game Time makes it easy to find great seats in just a couple of minutes. One thing that I really like is that the price you see is the price you pay. Fees are included, so there are no surprises at checkout. The Seat View feature is a game changer too. You can actually see what the view from your seat is going to look like before you buy your tickets. And the zone deals are great if you're trying to save. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seat, and you still get a great deal. Plus, with the lowest price guarantee and ticket coverage, you can feel confident every time that you're buying tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. The postseason is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun. Because every player has their bag, and with DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are some nights where your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you need dessert now. Those late-night interviews hit and suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is built exactly for that. If the group chat says, pull up, DoorDash makes sure that you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, even a phone charger for that friend who's always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. We are Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcast. Continuing our draft talk here, we haven't talked a ton about the Clippers moving in to that 5th spot, guys. I think that puts them in an interesting place, specifically when it comes to Kawhi Leonard. On one hand, they have a chance to turn the page pretty naturally with a top 5 pick, let Kawhi go, turn the keys over to Matt, an 18-year-old. On the other hand, they could also look at Kawhi and say, now we have the means to kind of retool around him pretty quickly. Kawhi's coming off of this great season. Matt, what do you think the Clippers should do at 5, and should they really consider trading Kawhi?
I would trade him because I've always been kind of the opinion that he's not the kind of leader that you need in the locker room. If you can get somebody else that's better than him, though, where he doesn't have to be the leader, I actually kind of like it. So look, if you can work out a deal where you land Giannis for the 5, I would probably look at that. Like, I really would. You've got Mathurin, you've got Garland, you've got an ability to kind of retool here, but you could also like remain in contention. You would have Giannis and Kawhi with Mathurin and Garland, some of the younger guys that they've got, and that would be able to, I think, make a real push in the Western Conference. On top of that, what I would do is I would then also try and get LeBron James on board, because the Clippers were mentioned as one of the teams that actually have had interest in LeBron in the ESPN article. I think it'd be really amazing to have LeBron, Kawhi, and Giannis, and that's your 3, 4, 5. I just think it'd be really insane, but I also think it'd be actually really incredible. And you've the ability to have that team in LA versus Luka and whatever the Lakers pull up together, I think is pretty interesting. I think the most rational answer here, though, is like, look, keep the 5, trade Kawhi, get another pick, and really build this thing up from the ground. Like, be deliberate in how you build. I always think that that's a better thing than trying to fly by night and just adding stars.
Yeah, I think at this point, like it's time to move on from Kawhi. Of course, you can try to, like, there was some rumor of them potentially going after Cam Johnson from your team, Matt, which I guess is a player that you can add into there. He finished the season strong in the playoffs, but I think at this point, like, it's just better to retool. Like, you have some teams out there that I do think would be interested in Kawhi if they strike out on other things. Like, I think I wouldn't count out the Golden State Warriors from sniffing a wild around Leonard, maybe with that 11th overall pick and trying to shade Jimmy Butler. Like, stack the picks where you can. You don't have full control over your own first round picks until 2030, I believe, if you're the Los Angeles Clippers. So try to get some picks. If you can get an additional pick in this draft, especially in the top 14 with the talent in it, that number 5 offers you a great opportunity to really start building around a new young core there.
Turning Jimmy into Kawhi, that's interesting. I had not considered that. If all it costs you is the number 11 pick, Steve Kerr just re-signed that 2-year deal.
I kind of like that too. Jimmy be happy in LA.
Mm-hmm.
He still gets paid.
He's got a house in LA.
Yeah, he still gets paid. Everybody, they've all got houses in LA.
That's true. You just bought a house in LA.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. I think that's a really good idea. And you just run back the old Hogs idea with Kawhi instead of Jimmy.
And we don't end up with LeBron in Golden State, which I don't think anybody outside of Golden State actually wants that. It seems
I'm really excited for the idea of the Clippers actually being able to build. Like, to
your point, Matt, like, you've already tried the one way, right? You tried to import your stars, Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden, all that stuff. Didn't work. Okay. Now you try to do it the other way.
And if you get 2 top 11 draft picks, it makes up for the fact that you're going to owe so many and maybe have more taken away by the aspiration deal.
Yeah, it's a good way to start that rebuild, especially before these new tanking rules come in. And it's like, what are these picks ever going to be worth? Like, let's get 2 lottery picks right now and jumpstart this thing. I want to quickly get to this report from Chris Mannix, who said that the Celtics and the Hawks had brief conversations last offseason about Jaylen Brown, and that those two sides could potentially revisit those conversations again this summer. Haize, what are your thoughts on Jaylen Brown in Atlanta?
I mean, I love it for Atlanta. I absolutely love it for Atlanta. I think that's the type of move that Atlanta, to make that next jump into being, making that next step to actually trying to be a contender in the East. It makes a lot of sense for them. That'd be a very interesting wrinkle to this offseason if that were to happen.
Matt? Would you move off of Nickeil Alexander-Walker for him?
You kind of have to, right? Like, you think, because that's the type that Nickeil Alexander-Walker feels like the type of player that Boston would want in a deal like that.
Like, the Hawks are going to be like, but Dyson Daniels, and the Celtics should be like, haha, but NAW. And that's going to be the conversation over and over again. Like, if you're the Hawks, here's the one: would you rather have Jaylen Brown for NAW or Jamal Murray for NAW?
Jaylen Brown.
The thing is, it's not just NAW, and I see where you're going with here, man. You're going to have to get rid of also, like, another high-priced player on your roster. Like, and I don't know if it's Jalen Johnson or Jonathan Kuminga or one of these other guys, but it's going to cost you a lot. I don't know. It seems like too much for me. If I'm Atlanta, I don't want to give up all that stuff for a guy. I like Jaylen Brown a lot, but he's going to be making $60 million. We just figured this thing out post Trae Young. I don't know that I'm ready to push all my chips in for that.
Yeah, I don't know that they've figured it out, though, I think is the question. Because, like, they very clearly still need, like, an offensive creator. Like, they need somebody to get downhill.
Yeah.
And their cap sheet, Wes, is actually really clear. It's just Jalen Johnson at $30 million and Dyson at 25. If you move Dyson at 25 in a separate deal, your next biggest contract is Onyeka Okongwu at 16, and then NAW at 14.
That's what I like about it. And so now you're going to put a $60 million guy on that cap, and you're like, okay, this is going to be our guy now.
But they have it. Like, look, they don't have it. you have the
Sure.
space.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing is they could do that, re-sign CJ for an affordable deal, bring back a couple of the other guys that are going to be restricted free agents or unrestricted free agents, hit the market on a couple of moves, and then your model is Jalen Johnson, Jaylen Brown, Onyeka in a small ball switch all lineup. Like, I think it's pretty interesting. I just think I think it's a really interesting build. I will say I was talking to a Bucks fan yesterday, and a Bucks fan was like, I talked to Camille about this on Locked On NBA too. Bucks fans was baffling to me, Wes. They literally would rather take the Heat deal after the Heat bounced them in the first round twice than Jaylen Brown. They're like, no, I do not want Jaylen Brown. That's how much everyone hates the Celtics.
Good. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's contract is also interesting in this. I mean, he's obviously on this great deal. He's going to be going into the second year of this 4-year deal. He's got a player option on that 4th year. So part of this is, okay, we've got Nickeil Alexander-Walker now. He's going to be extension eligible next summer, right? Not this one, but next summer. He's going to get paid a whole lot more than $15 million. He's not going to get Jaylen Brown money, but do you almost just say, well, we can kind of move these pieces around, go get our high-priced guy right now in Jaylen Brown before we have to shell out this money for Nickeil Alexander-Walker in a couple of years. I think there's some interesting math to be done by that front office. So, yeah, maybe you guys are starting to talk me into the idea. Myles Turner called out Giannis on a recent podcast appearance. We're going to talk about what he said and what it means for what Giannis could be looking for on his next team after this. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I needed is right there in one place. You can check the stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the entire experience feel a lot more informed. Whether you're looking at player props or just following your favorite stars, it adds another level of excitement to every game. It's really easy to navigate. It makes the playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. The conference finals are almost here, and on FanDuel, you can make your bet on what you think the NBA Finals matchup will be. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On NBA. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily part of your daily routine and making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen every day. We have a show for every playoff team, so check those out to go deeper on each of these series. I want to get to this interview, though, from Myles Turner, where he spoke candidly about this season in Milwaukee and the lack of professionalism and accountability that he saw there. He talked a bunch about a bunch of different things, including that lack of accountability from Doc Rivers and guys showing up late for team flights, saying, quote, "It got to the point where I knew that not showing up, I knew not to show up until an hour after they said the plane was going to take off. Giannis is going to show up whenever he wants," end quote. Here's more from Locked On Bucks.
If there's no fines, I'm sure everybody was late. And then Myles just came out and said, like, it was Giannis was the most notorious late person around. And he was, he's kind of earned that to a certain degree, right, being the franchise guy. But like Myles said, once I figured out how this goes, like on plane rides, like the plane would be scheduled to leave at 2. They're not leaving until 4:30 because guys are late. And he said he realized himself, like, I'm just coming an hour late myself. And he mentioned he had never experienced a season quite like this, the one that he had in Milwaukee, with the way the culture was set. And I just was listening to him talking, just being like, wow.
Haize, I want to turn to you, the Prince of Petty over here on this podcast. I mean, Myles Turner going on this podcast, airing out the dirty laundry. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think I think we got to keep in mind, like, Myles is only there for the one season, right? Like, so it's not like he has this huge loyalty to this team or to Giannis or anything else. He's honest. He was asked about, Giannis even returning early. Him and Bobby Portis were honest about that, like, during that time period of Giannis being shut down. Like, Myles has no reason to lie. I'm sure this was a very different situation than how they handle things in Indiana, because they would never allow this, like, to this degree. So, Myles has the right to be frustrated. It was a frustrating season for that franchise overall. And I think this is just him airing out his frustrations, because he came to Milwaukee hoping that pairing up with Giannis would help push them into actually going on a playoff run.
I think it's really interesting that Giannis was, there was a lot of reports that Giannis was a big part of Myles coming to Milwaukee. So for this to kind of play out this way, I think is interesting. Giannis posted a thing about, like, keep grinding and minding my own business yesterday. That was notable. You don't say this if Giannis is coming back, by the way. You just don't. That's not something that you say. Like, this reads to me as, like, everybody, there are all these situations where everybody knows the deal, and then the rest of us are always like, will he, won't he? And it's like, no, everybody in the building is like, yeah, he's gone. That's it. I have heard from people. I am a big Giannis guy. I love his approach. I love his competitiveness. However, I have heard from people close to the organization that are around the team that Giannis, when he is unhappy, makes everyone know that he is not happy. And I think that was a lot of it this year. But I also think that as a leader, you're responsible for kind of setting the right example. And I think that's a bad job by him in terms of, like, come on, man, be respectful of other people's times. But also, Doc Rivers, I don't understand why he took the Bucks. I don't understand why he took the Bucks coaching job. I get the money, but it's just like, God, man, you just want to go golf. Like, just go golf. You've wanted to golf for like the last 10 years. Just go golf. Good God, man, get out of it.
It's a lot of money.
I know, but it's also like, it's hard on your health.
Stop. Just nobody else should hire Doc Rivers. Just let's.
No, we're done here, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're done here.
Yeah.
Like, got to be done here.
And like, he's put together so many 50-win seasons, and he did win a championship, no matter like what the context was and how long ago it was, 17 years now. Like, he has accomplished a lot. It's not that I'm saying that, like, Doc Rivers sucks. It's just that Doc has lost the edge many years ago.
We could go to that old JJ Redick clip about calling out Doc Rivers about the lack of accountability from that felt like, what, half a decade ago, So, by the way, Matt, what you were talking about with Giannis, what you were hearing about him making everybody unhappy around him when he's on it, I've never related to Giannis more. I feel like I know exactly where he's coming from. So maybe we can hang out in Miami.
Yeah. What's today's comment here?
No, nothing in regards to that. It's just like Wes shooting his shot here. Giannis coming to Miami is just hilarious to me there.
I mean, it's either going to be him or Donovan Mitchell. They were on Locked On Heat. They were debating which one should they prefer.
Yeah. Prefer? Like, they have the choice at either?
Yeah.
I didn't say we had the choice of getting whichever one. I was like, if you have to throw you're only going to throw all your assets into one of those offers. If you had to pitch one, which one would you pitch?
You better get one of them, or there will be jokes.
Nothing new. Before we get out of here, the playoffs resume tonight. Both the Cavs and the Spurs have a chance to finish their series and advance to the conference finals. So let's make some predictions here on a Friday. We're going to start in the East with Pistons, Cavs. Matt, did the Cavs get it done tonight?
Yeah, I think the Cavs are going to get done. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That's wrong. I think the Pistons actually win this game. I think the Pistons are gonna sneak this one out. It's gonna go 7. I have no idea who wins game 7, but I do think that this one is gonna go 7. I don't trust the Cavaliers to close. I don't trust James Harden in a closeout game. I don't trust this Cavs team that has won 3 straight. The history of teams that have won 3 straight, not great. Actually, coming into this game 6, it's really hard to beat a team like this many times in a row. It's really hard to be a team 4 straight in the playoffs, especially a 1 seed. I think the Pistons extend this to game 7.
Haize?
Yeah, it's going game 7. I think this has to go game 7. Plus, I'm on game night tonight. I kind of selfishly wanted to go game 7 as well, so we have that to talk about. So yeah, game 7.
I love all of us just throwing our agendas out there. Matt, what do you like?
At least we're up front with
Matt. Go ahead and speak something into existence right here. What do you want?
I am fine because we have Saturday night off, so I'm good on either. The schedule is working out great for me.
It really has Thursday and a Saturday night off. It's pretty nice. I was also expecting this to go 7. I could try to save the graphic here, but I'm not going to. I think this goes 7. We've seen Detroit come back with their backs against the wall against Orlando. I think that they're a prideful team that'll extend this game to 7, but I do think the Cavs end up winning the series. Spurs Timberwolves. Haize, do the Spurs get it done?
Yeah, I think the Spurs go ahead and wrap this one up. And this pains me to say. You guys know I've been a big Timberwolves guy. I trust and love Anthony Edwards, but I think the Spurs are going to go ahead and pack this one on up. Let's keep it pushing.
Matt?
Yeah, I thought the Wolves were going to win this series, but they had to get game 3. They didn't get game 3, and they're screwed. They've won 2 games. They snuck a bomb in game 1, and Wemby went out in game 4 with the ejection. Other than that, it's been Spurs. Finch has to get so far outside of his comfort zone tonight by switching, I think, a lot more that I don't think he's going to be comfortable doing it. Spurs have just had so much of an aggressive attack with their guards. That's been the sneaky thing in this. And honestly, Victor Wembanyama has been so unbelievable as a player this young in the playoffs. Everyone should be absolutely terrified, including OKC, of what Wembanyama is doing.
I'll go Minnesota just so that we don't all agree on everything. But it has been they need McDaniels, Randall, Dosunmu. They need all these guys around Ant to step up in a big way. And Gobert has to figure out how to do one thing on offense during his minutes, just a thing at some point. It's going to be an uphill battle. They just seem kind of clunky and broken. But the Timberwolves, we've seen this from them before, man. They are a light switch team. They can just flip it and look dominant on any given night. And I think they do in this one. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you back here next week on Locked On NBA Daily.